Yeah, how do I start these videos? Hi, my name is Mitch. Welcome to another video. I'm a software engineer. I am building a language learning app in Godot. Previously it was in Unity, but decided to ditch Unity because of all of the drama and all of the fees, essentially. I don't want to have to pay those fees. So this is actually my first stream for developing in Godot. Today we're going to be working on sort of a back-end feature, which I'll discuss in a bit. But yeah, if you want to hang around, see some development, it's going to be a long form video. So I'm going to be talking about coding, some design stuff maybe. But yeah, if you're interested, hang around and hang out. I'm not going to keep music on the stream. So if you want to play your own music in the background or mute me entirely, that's up to you. But yeah, let's jump into it. Switch over. All right, let's look at the designs. So what are we actually building? So this is my design for my challenges screen. I guess a little bit of context of what I'm actually building and where this actually sits. I am building a language learning app that's kind of a bit unstructured. I don't like the current language apps that are out there that are sort of based around lessons, and there's a very narrow path. There's not a lot of choice. And so my desire is to sort of break it up a bit and make it a bit more playful, essentially, and less passive aggressive as Duolingo is. But yeah, this is the basic flow of it, sort of going left to right. We've got, I guess, the discovery screen, which is the main first panel on the left here. Essentially, you sort of pick an item on that screen, play one of the games, and then as you play the game, you complete it, you progress that particular language item or character in this case. So currently the app is sort of focused around Japanese, but I have plans to expand it out to other languages as well. And then we've got the progress screen. So if I zoom in here, this is showing the overall progress for each one of the characters individually. So as you sort of pick them and play a game with them, they'll progress. They've got these little circles that show the progress. So every 3 progress steps that I'm calling them, they fill in. And then once you fill in 3, they jump to the next tier, as I'm calling them, or level, which is essentially a color. So you can see the progress of the colors here. And then, yeah, and so you sort of learn them over time, sort of advancing them sort of like you would in a normal video game. And the sort of structure around that of like why you would choose to pick one item over another is sort of based around these challenges. So these challenges are sort of kind of like pretty much just like quests in a normal video game, where you sort of pick a quest and you sort of progress towards it and you get rewards as you complete it. That's the sort of, I guess, main structure, the sort of, I guess, spine of the game, of the language app, is really completing challenges, and then everything sort of comes out from that. I guess in comparison, like I wanted to move away from less structured lessons like Duolingo. This challenges, I need some structure to sort of drive players forward, but the challenges are more pick and choose. Like you can progress each one individually, and there's more sort of flexibility of sort of how to actually complete them. But today I'm going to be working on the back end to allow essentially this screen to be populated, as well as, I guess, unlocking content. So as you're sort of completing traces or mini games for each one of the characters, you'll progress that challenge, and then once you complete the challenge, you'll unlock more content. So yeah, that's the plan today, is to sort of do the back end of this. So I have previously implemented the system, but I implemented it in Unity. So today we're going to be porting that system across into Godot. So there'll be a bit of back and forth between, I guess, C# and Godot, where I'm using GD script. So yeah, those are the designs. So let's just tuck that away. So let's jump into Unity and take a look at the, I guess, old implementation. So if I clear the runtime data, so previously, so all of this, if you're familiar with Unity at all, it's all just using scriptable objects. We've got like a database of challenges with conditions and other things in it. So I have to port that logic across. So just take a quick look. So things populate on this home screen and you pick and choose. I don't actually have like a challenges screen where you can actually take a look at what the current challenge is. But essentially you just play one game with each one of these vowels for the Japanese hiragana script system, and then you'll unlock more content. So click on it, go through the minigame, which is just tracing the outline. You progress one step. And you can see you progress one step here. And so in the back end, this will be counting it. And once you progress each one of these characters, it'll unlock all of these other characters. So those locked symbols will disappear and they'll be replaced with the actual remaining characters. So yeah, let's just see that in action. So we quickly go through and trace all of these. Let's see if I can speed run this. Oh no, fuck that. All right, there's O. Let's do E. Get through it, come on. Let's do U. Right, we got to do A, and then we should unlock more of them. Cool, and then there should be a lot more spawning on screen now. Yep, there we go. We've got the other characters. So that's the challenge system working in the back end. Just as you play each one of those games, we reevaluate to see if you've actually completed the challenge. And obviously we completed the first challenge because now all of that content is now unlocked. So that system is working in Unity. We just need to port it across to Godot. So let's switch over to Godot and I'll talk about the current progress there. So I spent the last, I guess, my last video went out months ago around Christmas. I've spent the last, I guess, how long has it been? 2-3 months? Must be 3 months now. Yeah, because we're at the end of March. Actually porting the entire app across into Godot. So progress screens, things are looking a little bit different. The Unity, I guess, game I just showed just then had the old designs in it. This is more in line with the newer designs where their progress design looks a little bit different. But as you can see, we've got characters, the main vowels there, and they're spawning on screen. Got the new style of the trace. Let's just go through that just to show you. New result screen. But I don't have any of the challenge stuff in the background, so it's not going to unlock any of the content. You're just going to progress with only those 5 characters that are there. But we have a screen, nothing in it, stat screen. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at currently. So let's just jump into the code, I think. All right, so the first thing that I actually want to do is get, I guess, a representation of the challenges as raw data. So we don't have to really jump into the code as such. We want, like we have a database representing all of the Japanese characters that are going to be in the, I don't know whether I should keep calling it a game or an app. I'll just say an app. In the app, we need a representation of the challenge information as a resource, so as raw data. So to do that, I have a resources. Let's create a new folder for challenges. And that letter H didn't come through. All right, so we need a We have a language database. So let's create a challenge database. I don't know if you can hear it, but my dog's behind me are snoring. So hopefully that's not coming through the microphone, but I can certainly hear it. All right, challenge database. So this is going to hold all of our challenges. And then just like how we have a language resource to represent each one of our characters, we're going to have a challenge resource. All right, so let's take a look at our language database. What I'm going to do is just copy it because I want to essentially have the same functionality. Is that very small? It does look a little bit small on screen, sorry. Just make that a bit bigger for everyone. All right, so we don't need all of that. We just need an array of challenges. That's going to contain our challenge resource. Yes, you can't find it because I haven't defined it. All right, so we have a challenge resource. Get rid of that. That should hopefully go away, and it does. Excuse me. So we're going to create a new resource, and we're going to add a challenge database. What are we going to call it? We've got a naming format that I'll need to continue. So Japanese challenges. Excuse me. Database. Japanese challenge database? Challenges. It's not a big deal. Let's just do that. Now it saved it as a text resource, but that's fine. Not worried about that right now. All right. But it hasn't exposed out the challenges, has it? If we... What do I need to do to get that exposed? Let's just chuck something in there. Japanese challenges. What am I missing? Character trace recent. It doesn't have... What am I missing? Let's try recreating it. Let's just try, excuse me, recreating that. All right, well, let's just keep moving on. I'm not sure why that's doing that, but we will get, I guess, the code representation there, and then I can come back and figure out what silly thing that I'm doing wrong. Extends resource, challenge database. Who knows? All right, I'll come back to that. Let's just focus on getting the information populated in. So this is the code from the Unity version that I can essentially copy. All right, so we got just a list of challenges. Cool. Sorry for the coughing so much. Just seem to be fighting something recently. All right, we've got the name, active by default. The language set that will be unlocked when we complete the challenge, and a bunch of evaluation conditions as well. Let's just copy that. Go to the challenge resource. This is what we need. So active by default. Language set. And then we have a bunch of conditions. Oops. All right, we don't have that type, but we'll just put it in there. Comment that out. Right. All right, now that it's just randomly chosen to show up, that's good. So let's just add one of them. New challenge resource, thank you. All right, that's working, excellent. Active by default, language set. Now if we switch back to Unity and take a look at the details, so this is the one that we want to copy, which is just the default one. So what we got, hiragana all, it's active by default. So it's just unlocked when you start the app. This is going to lock all of the hiragana characters once it completes, and the conditions are that you must match all of the filter conditions by progressing them by one. So let's copy across the, I guess, the other logic now for actually evaluating these things. There's a bunch of code in that. I'll just go back to this challenge database. Let's just give it a name, active by default, new language set. You're going to unlock the characters of the hiragana set type. It's just going to unlock everything, why not? All right, we need to steal the other code. So that assets is the scriptable objects. Got some enums here. All right, we don't. Let's go into the runtime stuff. How do I want to do this? Let's get this database loading up during boot up. That's probably the next thing that we should actually do. Just like we have the language service that loads this database, we want to create basically a service in the code that will manage the challenges for me, which will manage the loading of the information from disk, which will be all the raw challenge data, and then is a central place in the code during runtime that I can access and get that information in and out, and it'll manage all of the state for me. That's essentially what this language service that we're looking at right now is basically loads all the language data, all of the characters, all of the language information, and it'll save their different states to disk as well. But then you can also get like the active items, so the things that you've unlocked. You can do that by a language set reference, which is a bunch of filtering information. So we want something similar for the challenges as well. We want a runtime object to manage all of that. So let's create that. So when we look at our scripts and we look at challenges, we've got the database, but now we need a challenge service to load that for us. So if we go out of the resources folder and into the services, we'll add a new script called challenges. No, we'll just call it challenge service. Cool. All right. So just looking at the structure of the other ones. Yep. So what we want is extends node. We don't want any of this functionality, but we want this to be a singleton. So the way that singletons work in Godot is essentially an auto load of a particular script, and it'll give it the appropriate name that I want. So go to scripts, go to services, challenge service, and yep, that's what I want to call it in code. I'm going to add that. So now I can reference this script in code, and in Godot will manage the object for me. So normally in C# I would have to build, I had a singleton pattern that I used and that I basically extended all of my other services from. I guess in Godot, they just manage that for you, that singleton pattern. So I don't have to name this file, this class, but what I want is essentially a load. And we want at some point to save, because all of the challenges will have, I guess, some save state saying how far you've progressed, I think. We'll get to that. The first thing we need to do though is actually load that challenge database. So let's steal. So just like we do with the languages, what we're going to do is call this challenge database. What have we called the actually Japanese challenge database? Cool. So we want to pass the language in. Go away, game service, you're not helpful. Pass that language in. Why is that slightly different? Okay, that's just, we don't care about that. pass the language in, converts it to a string for us, gives us a file path. We load that guy as a cast it to a challenge database so that we have the right typing. And let's just do that. Now with the language service, what it does is essentially loads that up from disk with the resource loader, and then loads it in this function. So we're not holding on to it as a member variable. It's just a local variable. And so we are going to drop it when it comes to the end of that function. But we have a cache representing each one of them. So I need to decide how I want to hold on to these challenges. Do I want to keep that database object, that database resource around? Or do I want only the active ones? All right, so let's just hack this in and keep that database around for now. I think we'll optimize it a bit later where we will actually not keep it around. All right, so let's just, doesn't equal that. Create a member variable. So this will just allow us to hold on to it beyond the scope of that load function. We'll deal with that later. All right, I think we go to our boot up script. We go challenge service is now available. We go load. We are going to need language settings. Let's do it after we've loaded up all of the language data. We want it to work the same way. Let's give it the same name, shall we? That's looking pretty good. Let's see if that runs. All right, hasn't crashed. Let's breakpoint it and see it working. File path looks good. This is just going to skip over it, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Let's ignore that. It seems to be working. All right, we're loading things now. So now we need to look at more of my previous code to see what we were doing. So this also had a challenge service. So let's take a look at what we were doing. So previously in Unity, we would load up the previous state, which we'll be doing eventually. Just loading the database. So this is all Unity stuff, very similar actually. And then we were creating a runtime representation of that challenge asset. So we had like a raw data version of it, which was, I guess, immutable. It was just like the pure data over it. And then we create a runtime representation of it that might have some additional things. So that's the raw data. And if we look at the runtime representation, it had a state. So that state is not part of the raw data. So that's like an additional thing on top of it. So I'm assuming that we probably want to do something similar to that. I think I did something similar with the language stuff where there's a language resource and then there's a language state, and we combine them together into a runtime representation. So looking at the challenge service, load the database, create the runtime representation of each one of these assets. comparing it to our stored data to see if it's complete or not, so that we can build the runtime data with updated information from disk, store that locally, well, not locally, but in the member variable so that we can continue to have it, and then it unloads the database, which is what we're not doing in Godot right now. And then saving is a matter of saving those challenge states, whether we've completed it or failed them, but not how much we've actually progressed with them. Interesting. How long have we been going for? 30 minutes. Cool. All right. So let's move to, we want to create a representation that will allow us, we want a runtime representation of that challenge now to follow the same pattern. All right, so if we take a look at what I did when it came to the language content of the app, what I did was loaded the database, went through the database characters, and then looked up their stored state. And then I created a character language item, which is my runtime representation. So it extends language item, which is essentially, it keeps a reference to the stored pure representation. And then we have the additional stuff, the runtime stuff, information that we need. So the database gets unloaded, but we still have references to each one of those resources. So not the greatest, but it's okay. So we want to do something similar. We want to have a challenge that points to the resource that was in the database and a state, essentially. So let's create a new script. And we're going to create a new folder because this is not a resource. Oops. Right. Challenges. Challenge. Let's follow the pattern, call it a challenge item. Not the greatest name, but it'll make it easy for when we're referencing the language item stuff. All right, so this one we can actually give it a name. It's not going to extend node because it's not going to be on screen. So just like we have a language item, we now have a challenge item. Let's get rid of these. Is there anything else we can steal? So it's going to work similar to this, where we have a challenge resource, and we're going to have a state. That language state is a class. My challenge state is probably just going to be an enum for now. And it'll be something like this. How do we do enums in Godot again? It should go in here actually. so we don't need this individual file. This is just a personal choice, to be honest, having all of the enums in one file. All right, so we got challenge state. That needs to reference it appropriately. This is actually another auto load singleton, essentially, just like the other challenges. And that's how I'm able to reference it. It is, right? No, I'm lying to you, I think. It's not an auto load. It's just static. Okay. Yeah, I've forgotten how that works. All right, moving on. So we've got our resource, we've got our state. So now we can actually fill them in. So if we go to our database, our service, we want to loop over that database. Which is cool. And then now we want our runtime representation. So what we can do is we can get rid of that. And we can have we're going to do that. We're going to have an array of challenge items. And we are going to create a challenge item. We're just going to store it. Cool. Let's have a initialize function and takes in a resource. Just to make it a little bit tidier. Is that going to go away? It's a challenge resource. Just needs to catch up. There we go. Cool. Let's see if that compiles and runs. Yep, it runs. Let's just pause it. Yep, it is hitting the code. It is creating the challenge item. Cool. So we've got challenges coming through. We've got the database, load the information. If we look at our language service, loads the database, doesn't have to unload it. We'll just do that automatically. I hope. I have to check the memory later. So go through each one of our characters, do some other things. We can create a runtime representation, and then store it, and then carry on. Then we're doing the same for our challenges, getting the database, going through each one of the challenges, creating a runtime representation, storing it, and going on our way. Cool. What are we doing in Unity? So state. We probably have to unlock by default as well. All right, what's the next thing I need to do? The challenge resources. We can get the evaluation conditions in there. Let's have a look at go if, I just want to unlock this by default. So if challenge resource dot, it's not going to have type information there for me. I got it wrong anyway. So if this challenge is active by default, this challenge item, its state is going to need to be enums dot challenge state active. Okay, let's make that align with our current styling. Active. Why are you complaining? Cannot find member active. Nope. Just need you to catch up. There we go. Right. Should we take a look at the state loader? So in the language service, we have language database. We have a language state loader, which basically takes in a set of information. We have a file path. We check that file, access it, read it, pull out the JSON, and it's quite involved, isn't it? All right, let's not worry about that now. We'll do that another time. Now we just want to, what we want to do is load the information up, create a representation as we're playing through the game, progress that challenge forward and have it unlock something. I think that should be our goal rather than worrying too much about the state stuff. All right, so let's get the other code in there that's representing the evaluations. So challenge builder, we don't care. This is the previous Unity code. I think it was in shared. This is all of the evaluation code. So this class is serializable. Yeah, so there's a bunch of enums and other things in here. All right, let's get to it. Let's just reset ourselves, clear out the CRUD. All right. Challenges, let's just put it all in here for now. So we've got, whoop, evaluation. Actually, no, we need to put this in resources. So these are the evaluation conditions. Let's follow the same naming pattern. Cool. Bring this guy back. So everything that can be on disk needs to be a resource. This is our evaluation resource. This is what it looked like in Unity. We want that. We want to export it to make it available for the editor. No. I think that water is helping me a lot more than drinking tea. Tea was making me cough. Alright, we need to flip this around. Because GD script is the reverse. It's more like Python. I really am enjoying GD script though. Just having to essentially write less. C#, it's a great language, but you just have to write so much to get to the same point. I mean, I never really thought I would actually. I was a little bit stupid and be like, ugh. Languages where you have to like indent things for it to actually compile properly, that's gross, but really that's quite silly. It's actually languages like Python and GD script where the indenting is the scope is actually, it works quite well. Having braces for everything actually becomes quite annoying. Every language has its good things and bad things. Alright, some of these red will go away soon. That should be string. Casing. I'm missing var as well. I'm doing that the slow way. People are probably screaming, oh, you can just shift and drag. I can. Cool. Now we just need those enums. All right. What have we got? Let's copy this. All right, this enums is probably getting quite big now, but we'll keep going, and maybe I'll tidy it up off stream. Got progress. We've got games. So these are the different conditions you can be measured against: completing games, progressing things, all based on time. Filter types. Just quickly fix this. right. And we needed this one as well, right? There's 3 of them. So either we're counting things, we're matching things. Is that going to compile? Come on, catch up. We need to add the enums. Cool. So now if we look at our data, is this caught up? Conditions, let's add a condition, new evaluation. Nice, look at that. All right, let's copy it across. So, group. What have we got? This is the name. This is going to be painful. All right, we've got match all progress. Match all progress. Match all progress 1. Language set reference. Then this is the text version of the language set reference. Save that. Just double check we did it correctly. Yeah. Cool. All right, so we have our data representation all there. Let's just run it to see if it loads everything. Doesn't crash. Doesn't crash. We're making progress. Cool. What else? So now if we go back to the challenge service, what are we doing? We're creating a challenge item. We're pointing to the challenge resource, which will have the conditions in it, which is good. We're activating this one. All right, now we need, that is the representation for the challenge, but the logic itself to be able to check that challenge has completed is actually this code where we have a progress evaluator. So there's a bunch of code in here that we need to copy across as well. So we've got evaluation, data type, just sort by type. Goddamn meta files. So we've got all of that. We need the games evaluator and the progress evaluator. Maybe we can just put that in the challenge service itself. Because it's static, right? So really we don't need it living somewhere else. All right, so the way that this gets used actually is when you complete a game, then we hit that check. So let's take a look at what we did in Unity. If I can remember where it was. So there was a game hub. Where did I put it? Application, games, runtime, game hub. Here we go. So this is essentially the centralized game logic. So when a game was completed, like if we trace something, increase the reps. If we're 1, you progress the language item, reschedule, refresh the challenges. So what does that do? Gets the active challenges. So we need to create a function for that. Go through each one of the challenges, call the evaluate logic with the challenge conditions, and then mark it. If it evaluates true, it's completed, we activate it. Cool. So we want this logic. We want the evaluate logic, and we can put that in the game hub I have in Godot. All right, to the game hub. Why does that? Let's scroll to the right. There we go. Let's move that out of the way. Cool. So this is essentially the same code as what I had in Unity. So when a game completes, we go through various steps where we update the stats, the progress of the language item, and we've got a section here waiting for updating the challenges. So if I steal this code where we refresh the challenges and the evaluate. And we save the service. We don't care about that. Come on. I just want this logic. All right. Whoop. What I'm going to do is just do it in place. All right. So we want something like this. Convert it from C# to Godot. I'm just going to call it like that. I'm going to call a getActive function. And then excuse me. Get rid of all of the nice little braces. Sorry. We want to call evaluate. Look how much tidier that is. So we will call the evaluate function, pass in the challenge conditions. If that evaluates true, challenge state, which is going to be lowercase for us. We'll go to our enums, and we'll go challenge state, complete. And we'll go to our language service and reward ourselves with the challenge language set. Does this, we don't have a, all right, so there's a bunch of things we need to build. Let's get that evaluate function in there though. So what we'll do is we'll just have it in this. Oops. We're just going to have it here. And this is going to return a bool for us. Right, we'll come back to this. All right, we'll return false for now. And you want the evaluations, which is an array. Guess I'll give you that. We'll see. Right, is that going to play nice? Catch up. What? We've got a mix. I suppose that was not There we go. Cool. So, oops, caps. You want to get the active, making progress. Right, so let's create that function now. So we've got our data. We just want to return essentially an array of challenge items. We want our runtime version because we want all of the active ones. So yeah, like or I always forget how to do these. Right, so we want all that matches this condition. What I want is this little function thing. So it's like a little link query. Are you familiar with C#? Godot has a lot of them built in already. So we want a challenge. Oh. And that challenge state must equal active. Oops. Is that fine? I'm missing something. Challenges or func challenge.state equals active. Sorry, all is actually a condition of like where all match this. What I want is something different. It wasn't all. It is an array filter. I'm assuming it's the filter one I want. Yeah, it's the filter one. All right, we just need to call this filter. In C#, it's just called select using link filter. Oh. Cool. So if we go to our game hub now, what have we got? Did win. So we've got the active challenges, which is now filtering out the active challenges, which we should get one of them. Oops, sorry, jumping around. So that'll have one, go into challenge. It'll have conditions. It'll evaluate. So let's just take a look at that challenge item. It's not going to have conditions. It has a resource that has conditions. So I have to go challenge.resource.conditions. Yep. Cool. And then, all right, let's bring it in. Let's run it. And let's just see if we haven't broken anything. Oh, that's some sketchy drawing. Cool. Debugger complained about evaluations, but that's just an unused variable. Cool, nothing's broken. Let us do the evaluate. All right, so we'll just do this in line. So the evaluation in evaluations, just copy the C# for now. We might not have to have it exactly like that. So if evaluation dot data type equals enums dot evaluation data type games evaluator. Okay. Right, seeing as like we only care about the progress one for now, I'm going to shortcut this. Take out the games one. We don't care about that one right now. And I'm going to put this in the... I'm just going to chuck this code in the... this here. This kind of reads awkwardly, doesn't it? So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. So if the result equals false, we have to return false because all of the evaluations must return true. I think why this feels awkward is because this evaluate is sitting by itself when really we can probably nest it in the challenge service and hide it all away. Because we're passing on all conditions into here, I can make this a little bit nicer. So let's go if challenge, whoops, if challenge service evaluate challenge we evaluate this challenge to be true, we're going to set it to true. We're going to activate the items. Now the reason why I'm not putting, I guess, this logic here inside of the challenge service is because I don't like mixing services together. So if I put this, everything into just evaluate this challenge, including this challenge service would be calling on the language service. And I kind of want to have all of the services not touch each other's code or interact in any way. So that's why I've got this game hub, which sort of does the connection logic between things. All right, so let's move this logic. Get rid of that. Let's have the challenge service. Let's just have that as private. Evaluate challenge. Takes in a challenge item. And will return us a boolean of whether it evaluated, which is essentially saying it completed. So for what we can do is copy this. So this challenge dot resource dot conditions for every evaluation in the condition. we're going to call evaluate progress. This evaluation. We're going to do a quick escape if that evaluation doesn't work out, because we want all evaluations to return true for the challenge to be complete. So we need a new function which takes in a evaluation condition. This one also returns a boolean. It's going to return false. What do you care about? Not all code posts return. Yeah. That's because at the very end, if we get that far, we're going to return true. All right, let's see how that looks from the Game Hub perspective. So get us the active challenges. The Game Hub will coordinate the evaluation, so it tells you to evaluate. If it evaluates true, I'm going to activate and reward the player. Cool. Let's just see if that I haven't messed up the code. Nope. Nothing broke. Cool. Let's just print something, shall we? Oh man, come on. Challenge complete. All right, we're getting there. So we evaluate. We evaluate progress. We need to fill in that. And once we fill in that, we might have to do a little bit of extra glue code for that language service stuff. Right. Copy more code. We already had it. Where was it? Progress evaluator. Maybe I will just dump it straight in. Can use the colors to help. All right, the first thing, let's just take this logic. Right, so we have a data value, which is a string, which we want to cast. So this will be target progress step. So this will be 1. This will be like, you need to progress all items that we tell you to level to progress step 1. Cool. And then we have a get items. So this actually calls off to the language service. And right now we are sitting inside of the language and the challenge service. So given what I just said before about me not liking mixing services, we might have to reject this a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break my rule and we're going to call it inside of it for now, and then I'm going to clean it up later. So, oops. Let's just convert this. I'm going to get rid of these evaluation types because we don't need them. So we only care about matches. So for your evaluation, if you match based on that, get rid of that. Really scoping it down to what we need right now. So if that equals all, the language items that we want, filter type, filter value. So if these language items all match a progress step of 1 or above, then the challenge is complete. That should work. Yep, that's fine. A mix of tabs. Yeah, because it's using a tab of 2 instead of 4. So that should be fine. Language items, it's not defined. So we want that func return I might have to look this up again. Target progress step. So that item dot state. So this is the language item. It's got a state and it's got a progress steps. I think it might just be step. All right, let's look it up. Oh no, I need to do the get items first. Which is an array of language items. Oops. Get items, that. Returns that. Got these parameters. We don't care about that. That's not implemented yet, so I don't care about it. That can just return an empty set. rid of the bad indentation. If this, don't need so many brackets everywhere. So if my filter type is from the enums of the language set ref, we want to build from this filter value, which is more logic that we need to port across. So filter value is a string. Why are you complaining? A filter type that's not defined properly. Was that it? Oh. Language service dot get items, which is an actual thing. Yep. Oops, jumping around. Get it based on this language set. What is happening? That's a lot of errors. Func get items. That shouldn't be there. That's probably not helpful. Language items, all. How do I do that again? So func that, we're missing that, and then we return the condition. There we go. Evaluation resource, that's fine. Why are you complaining? Could not find language items. Language items. Oh, because it's a language item. My bad. And all right, we need that build from logic. There's quite a bit to port across actually. If we go to languages, runtime, is it in sets? Is it the builder class that I want? Language set ref, it's build from a string value. And then, yeah, so that's the string representation. All right, let's copy it across. Let's just put it all on here. I'll clean this up later. So let's call it build set. Auto value, it's a string, and we get a language set resource from it. So we change that, build set. Excuse me. I'm just wondering if I have any other helpful things in here. Nope. All right. I was just thinking if I had a helpful function already created to build one of these language set resources, but I don't think I do. All right. Actually, that's going to take a while to do. I don't care to do that right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hack it. Take a shortcut, and I already have one of these. I know it's going to be that, so let's just return it and skip this whole process. So that doesn't return all conditions. Return evaluate progress, evaluation resource. This actually needs return false. Cool. I think, wow, do we actually have it all there already? So let's go back from a higher level, work our way down. So once we complete a game, we get the active challenges. We evaluate that challenge. If that challenge is complete, we mark it as complete and we activate the items. And then language service will save the fact that we just activated all of those new items. So to evaluate the challenge, we get its conditions, we loop over them, check to see if it's a progress condition, which they should be. We evaluate the progress, and we will get all of the items that we need to check. We need to match all of them to be that. So that's our logic there. Otherwise we return false. If all of the conditions are true, we'll go through that fine, we'll return true, and we will activate them. I think we have everything we need. I'm feeling lucky. All right, let's take a look. So we need to complete A, E, and O. So A, let's trace U. Does it crash? It does crash because that is not correct. Go to the challenge service, challenge item. We need to go to the resource to get the language set. So that was what the bug was. So to activate items, challenge resource dot language set. But when we evaluate, we also need to go to, wait. Is that what I messed up? Sorry, let's try that again. So we've got A. Draw it. It was here. Activate. Oh, it's saying it's complete. But it shouldn't be. Enums challenge state. Activate items. Because that activate items doesn't actually exist. I haven't actually created this function yet. All right. Let's quickly do that. Activate items. And we're going to be given a language set. So get the items. For item in items, item.activate. Easy. The problem is that actually shouldn't be returning true. So result, this is, I guess this is why we had a result in the Unity code. So the result equals true. Wait, this should be fine, right? Go through all the conditions. Evaluate the progress. All right, let's debug this. So, all right. All right, I've cleared the data. Let's check this out. So we'll complete this. Get it. We're going to step over. Active challenges has 1. Going to evaluate, step down. That was weird. Let's try that again. Let's just jump. Challenge item. Let's take a look actually at that challenge as a resource. Its conditions. Conditions have that. Yep. So we've got the evaluation. And the evaluation itself. Data type is 1. I don't know if that casts to the right value or not. It does. Evaluate progress. Dogs are waking up. Cool. Step over. Oops, that's a step into. Got 1. Language items are empty. That is not right. All right, so there's our bug. All right, let's retry that. Sketchy sketch. I'm assuming that that filter type is wrong. Language type, set ref. Step over. Nope. Oh, it just doesn't know how to get any of these things. I think that language set has defaulted to some bad things. Yeah, that's not doing what I want it to do. It's because I'm using it wrong. I forgot about that. All right. Apologies. It's got some additional parameters that we need. Take out these breakpoints. All right, I feel it getting close. Progress. There's one. Now we need to play one game with each one of these. Hasn't unlocked. Cool. This one. Need O. What am I saying? E. Draw it. There we go. All right, so now when I click this, it'll go through the Game Hub logic. It'll go through all of this, and then it should have the challenge complete. Did I do it right? No, it didn't work. I wonder if it's still failing to get those language items. All right, let's debug it. One more. I stepped over too far. No. Let's try that again. It's not getting the active challenges, which makes me think that it has actually marked it as complete. Do I have to do something else? Oops. All right. Let us continue that. It's not showing them as unlocked. All right. Let us try that again, but debug it. Activate items, challenge resource language set. I wonder if that is a problem. That language set is not correct. Challenge database. This. Let us. So if I was to look at this set unlocked by default, yeah, so I need something like that, where it's selecting the vowels. Yeah, okay, so I've done it slightly wrong. Okay, so hopefully this time I should probably get rid of that. No, why? You should not be evaluating true so early. All right, let's actually run through the debug process one more time. So we're back to the start. And let's check a breakpoint here. We've got the challenge, we've got the conditions. Evaluate progress. So this filter type is 1. I think this is actually, that filter value is wrong. It doesn't matter, does it? Because I'm hard coding it. Oops. Let's see if it gets the characters, language items. That gets way too many, because I'm selecting all of them, and that's never going to evaluate true. So I want to select the vowels. So that's wrong. So give me the hiragana vowels, just get them, and then evaluate them to be true. Let me take a look at language item, state, progress step. That should be fine. Right, let's, small tweaks, get in there. Jump, jump, jump. Come on. Language items 5, yeah. There we go. So all of them must have a state. Progress step is equal to 1 or above. So that's returning all. Yeah, that's fine. So we're returning true here. So that is returning true. Wait. Oh, I've got it around the wrong way. Dogs are up. All right. Well, we have to wrap this up soon. Very close though. That was my mistake. Ah, no, breakpoints everywhere. All right. Come on. There's one. We need 5. Now what do we need to do? We can do cool. E. Get it. One more, and then we complete the challenge. Yep, one more. Come on. I killed all of the bugs. Hey, there we go. We got the print message. And now we're getting a lot more. All right, my dog's happy as well. Look at that. Unlocked. Yep. So that's as expected. Look at that. Cool. It took me a while to port that across, but that's all I really wanted to do today was get to this point. There's a bunch of code that I'll need to tidy up, make it a bit nicer, separate the services so they don't interact. But yeah, we got there. We got to the back end. Well, we got the back end of the challenges system complete. So if you hang around for this long, thank you very much. Sorry about my coughing, but yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.